So abstraction is a feature that comes with, hiding unessential details and only exposing essential details. There's a simple thing to say, but actually, like, all that language fundamentals depend on this simple rule. And I mean, if you look at abstract, I mean, if you look at any textbook or any book for that matter, there is always a page called abstract or summary that gives you the gist of the book, right? Similarly, a class is nothing but, it has a lot of functionality, but at the outset, it gives you certain public methods and that you have access to, okay? And you don't really worry about the private variables or private methods. They are required indeed, but for the user of the class, if someone is writing a class for me and selling that to me, it is similar to buying a TV. Okay, if I buy LED or LCD TV, I don't really care what internals are there. What I really care is whether it is working or not. What kind of picture clarity is there or not? What kind of picture quality is there, and what maybe whether it has sound or whether it supports HD or not. So I worry only about those kind of things. So similarly here, suppose if assuming that class is a commodity that I can buy, then as a user of a class, what I will be interested is that the essentials, how to use it, how to initialize the particular class, and how to call the methods, some documentation about it. That's it. That's what I will be interested in. So that particular thing is called abstraction, and the way you achieve that particular thing is called encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but encapsulation is nothing but wrapping your variables. Say, look at this particular thing. I have some private variables, right? I have some private variables, and then I have some public methods. So what I did was that I have the private variables and I wrapped the logic into public methods where I'm using this private variables. So that actually means that I'm encapsulating. It is similar to the logic as that you have the capsules in medical shop. Capsule generally contains some powder inside, but you have a wrapper, and that actually gives you the meaning of a tablet. Like we swallow it. Similarly, Similarly, what you have is you wrap your private data with public methods. Okay, with public methods, and wrap that into completely into one big case called or box called class. So that is the fundamentals about the abstraction, and abstraction is the concept of exposing only essential details while hiding non-essential details. Whereas encapsulation is a mechanism to achieve abstraction. Is this clear? Encapsulation is a mechanism to achieve abstraction. Because encapsulation is an implementation, more of an implementation. That's how Java defines. You look at how you define a class. I define a class, public class, your class name, then you start with your parentheses, then you write private string or whatever your private variables, and then you write a constructor, then you write your methods, public methods, where you use those private variables. For the outside guy, when he is creating the object for it, say what he will have is when for the outside guy, when he is, let me pause this little up. Now if you look at this particular scenario, hello world HW equal to new hello world. Hello world is the class name, HW is the object here, equal to new. New is the way to create an object in Java. I mean, for that matter, the same thing holds good even in .NET. New hello world. So this is about creating an object. Now I'm saying HW.say hello. I'm not worried about what it is going to I'm not going to worry about the MSG variable, right? So this is how you actually use the objects. You create an object, you call the methods, but how the class is made up is the one that actually revolves around encapsulation. right? Encapsulation is about your encapsulating your private data with public methods. And it is not just private data, but even private methods. It may happen that sometimes you have some repeatable logic, and you may want, we will do that kind of things going forward more. But if I need, some logic, say, suppose I need some addition logic, and I need it in multiple public methods. So instead of writing the logic everywhere, what I do is I write a private method and I call that private method in the other public methods. Okay, so code reusability wise, wrap all the reusable artifacts. If some code is repeatable multiple times, then what I do is I write I write I write a separate method which can really support, or which can have only single definition for those logic. So that's about this. And then other thing that I really wanted to discuss about was the packaging. So suppose if I give an assignment for you guys, and ask you to share or commit the code in SVN, one option you have is, we all of you cannot use the same Java file name. All of you cannot use same Java file name. But instead, what we did was, see here, for data types, Murali created a file called data types Murali, and Srikanth created a file called Sri data types. And also, he actually modified my own file and deleted all my code. He committed some other stuff. Initially I had some other code. So that means that actually there is a problem with the file name when multiple people are working. So let me see, show you that difference. Or maybe I need to fetch back my old stuff. So the idea is that when you have, oh, how come? Okay, fine. I'll look at that later. The idea is that to have an isolation at the class definition level is that, to group related classes together and avoid name conflict. To avoid name conflict, what we do is we introduce another thing called package. So I will leave the existing code as is, and I'll say class, new class, and I'll say com.training.harry and say class demo, or maybe I'll write classes. Okay, I'll click this here. See, the difference that I did from other classes is I gave this one while creating the class. I gave this one while creating the class. So there is something called package, and the package is about grouping my classes. I'll also create, say, parent, and then maybe I'll create few classes, child, and child actually extends parent. And application I want to have the so these are the set of classes that I'm going to use. Sorry, class demo is already there. So what I'll do is I'll delete this application, or rather maybe rename this to inheritance demo. rename the comparison unit. Okay, and quickly I say what really, let's say that the simple methods like private string msg equal to hello. In the parent class I want to create this thing, and let's go with only simple logic. String say hello. So I write a method say hello, and which says return hello. Okay, and I write another method public string say hello, another name, and then I say return msg plus name, and in this case probably I'll say msg. Okay, now in my demo what I will do is I'll create a parent p equal to new parent p dot how come my computer is slow, p dot say hello, and I'll put that into this way as well. Similarly p dot say hello and say suppose morally I'm passing morally as a string, and run this code. Run this code, and the output will be how come my computers will become very slow. Okay, hello and hello Murali. See this? When I gave only hello, p dot say hello, the output is hello, and then other one p dot say hello, and I gave name. It says hello Murali, right? So now also that I'm actually going to introduce you to inheritance. That what I explained so far is by looking at as a single class of hello world was um, or maybe I can look at parent as well. Abstraction and encapsulation logic I explained. Let me repeat. Abstraction is the mechanism of exposing. Sorry, abstraction is about is in theory it is about exposing essential details while hiding non-essential details. Whereas encapsulation is the actual mechanism of achieving abstraction. How? By wrapping up of your private data and private methods into a class and exposing them through public methods, right? And other thing that we are discussing now, just now I introduced you is something called packages. So now what you guys are going to do is that from tomorrow onwards, whatever code you do, rather you create your own package, maybe under calm training, and instead of Hari you write your own name, and that classes. So your that it is going to be packages are going to be like this. Okay, so uh, um, it's about only just grouping the classes. It's about just grouping the classes. So earlier we had some doubt that what is java.util. Java.util is nothing but some set of classes that are bundled into java.util, a package called java.util, and that's how they've provided a separation. Just a moment. Okay, so that's about the parent class, or like the package. I'm introducing package. Is that clear? Package is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. It's only about providing related classes together and also to avoid name conflicts. If I say that write a class, tomorrow you can actually also write your own. I mean, say that class called parent, but in a package. But otherwise, there is no way, right? You cannot have duplicate classes. You cannot have duplicate classes. For that purpose, we use packaging. Okay, that's about a simple introduction about packages. We are going to use lot of them going forward. Now, let's look at this particular thing. So the now I have two methods with the same name. I have two methods with the same name, right? Say hello and say hello. Okay. Do you agree? I have two methods with the same name,
Yeah.
right? And Java does not show any error such as. But if I create another class with the same name, it doesn't accept in the same package because class names should be unique. And also other thing was that there is something called camel case, and the class names signature we discussed about it. I'll actually give you, say this, there is two different cases when you are writing something. There is something called Pascal case. Okay, so Pascal case is about is a name given to how you write your variable names. If everything, if you have multi word, then every first character of every word, if it is capital, then that is called Pascal case. Otherwise, I mean, first word, first character is small letter, but subsequent words in case of multi-word or initial first character is capital, then that is called camel case. That is called camel case. So we use camel case for, where do we use camel case? Where do we use camel case? And where do we use Pascal
Methods.
case? Sorry?
Camel case for methods and variables. Pascal case is for classes.
Exactly. So camel case for methods and variables and Pascal for class names. And we should always remember this. Okay. So the mechanism of writing, when using the same name, but writing different logic. See, there is a change in the logic. So this is called, actually, this is called polymorphism. This is called polymorphism, where same method exists in different forms. Same method exists in different forms. This is actually common word, polymorphism. If say again, I can refer it back to my video. Look at this here. You have three different animals belonging to the cat family. So they are actually like though they belong to the same family, they are different. They have different features altogether. They are look alike. They have different things. They have different behaviors. So that's because they because of the polymorphism provided by the by maybe the creator. Okay, but now for us, we are the creators. So we are the creators. So when you are writing code, you are the god because you are creating brand new system. So in this case also, you can have the same method name. You can have the same method name, and you can provide different definitions. Now here the technical details are like a method name, when you are going to have it as the same thing. Now let me see if I can write another public string, say hello. Now it doesn't allow me, say it throws an error. Duplicate method, say hello in the type parent. In a class called parent, I have something, it says duplicate. So, but whereas if I add one more parameter, it doesn't say any error. The reason is that the rule for polymorphism is that when the method name is same, number of parameters or parameter types, if they are different, then that is legally acceptable. Now let me say int count. Maybe I'll write some stupid logic where I'll say int I equal to 0, I less than count I plus plus string var string temp. Okay, what I do is I say this should be 0, not O. Temp equal to temp plus g. It says it is not initialized, so I create empty string. So now if we look at these three methods, okay, then the fundamental rule is the method name is same, but the parameter, okay, the parameter is parameters, number of parameters, and I'll write maybe one more method. I'll write one more method in the bottom. Okay, so I write one more method in the bottom and say string name one. Okay, now so now how many methods I have? I have multiple methods. Maybe for visibility I'll just remove the spaces, empty spaces. Now if I look at these methods, I have four methods in fact with the same name. Now this is about dissecting the polymorphism. First, there are the method, there is, if I look at the intermediate, these two methods, there is a change, number of parameters is one only. String name and int count. Okay, so number of parameters is same, but what is different? Parameter type. For the say hello, do you agree? The parameter type is different here. Method name is same, but here it is a string parameter and here it is a int parameter. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So whereas in the this method, the parameter number of parameters are also different. Says it's string name and string name one. So there exists the same method. There exists a method that is with the same name, but either with different parameters or different parameter types. This is called polymorphism. There is another type of polymorphism that we get. I'll explain that after inheritance. There is like more discussion about that, but we will do that in a after inheritance concept. Srikanth went offline. Now how do I call these methods? I can pretty much call these methods system.out.println p dot say hello. I'll say 4 times. I'm calling this method, and similarly system.out.println equal say hello, p dot say hello, and I say Srikanth Murali. Okay. Now see, I have all the four outputs, right? Now I'm using this, and generally like in regular applications or projects, you will not have too many main classes. There will be only one main class probably, or maybe one or two main classes. Generally, only one main class will
Main
be
is a
there.
class. Sorry to interrupt you. Main is a class or method?
Sorry, main is a method. Main, a class having main method. Or main class. If I am talking about main class, when I say main class, a class having main method.
Okay.
Okay, main is a method, no doubt. Main is the method, but such as the class, a class becomes a main class in the sense, in my opinion, like when I can run this particular thing. But let us look at for parent. I don't have a main method, so run. I don't have the run as application. I don't have that option. So
Okay.
application usually will have a main method. I mean, a single class will have a main method, and that will be the starting point for your application. And you tend to use, you create other classes, you create objects for other classes and use them. So in this case, I created object for parent and I try to use the parent object, P object, right? So we have a discussion, at high level discussion about polymorphism. This is also called, there are two different mechanisms in polymorphism. One is called overloading and other one is called overriding. And whatever we are discussing is comes under overloading, but I'll explain that, once I'm done with inheritance, I'll explain that. This one and overriding. Okay. So inheritance. Now let me explain about inheritance. Inheritance is about inheritance is about reusability. Inheritance is about reusability. Your child will have properties of you, almost all the properties like you, but not exactly same as you. The reason is that there is a difference. They inherit most of the properties, but they will have some unique properties for themselves, right? So that is the human, or no, the typical inheritance available in the environment. That's not only for human beings, but for any other animal or bird, that's what happens. You have the child inherits most of the physical features of your parent, and in case of humans, other advantage is that child also inherits all his physical assets or whatever father has or father and mother and for themselves. After them, the child will inherit everything. So that's a human, or like common philosophy. So let's try to apply the same thing uh, to our Java. So we have something called another keyword. Remember this particular thing. I'm introducing a keyword called extends. I'm introducing a keyword called extends. By that actually means that child extends, parent means child is inheriting parents, but also will have some of his own properties. This method has a constructor name. Sorry. Yeah, I'll explain about constructor and say what I'm doing is I'm creating different messages. I mean, two private variables. One is for good morning and other one is for good evening. Return GM message plus any guesses why am I leaving this space here? I'm actually leaving this space between GM message and the actual name. The reason is that I want to in the display when I'm displaying something, I want to display, I want to make sure that they are not together. If I say, you give gap between two words, right? When I'm speaking, I say that good morning or good evening, Murli, or good evening, Srikanth. So I give a space, and same space just to avoid cluttering on the output. Say here I have space. Just I wanted to print in a proper way, so I'm giving space. Otherwise, there will not be any space, and that looks like a single word. Right. I also write, and now I also write another method, public string say good evening, and say name, and I write, sorry, return G message plus name. Perfect. Now the fun of inheritance is that it is that I create a child c equal to new child. Okay. Now c dot. Now I say good evening, good morning, and say second. Let's say is that, and say dot say good evening. Yeah, good evening, and say maybe Murli. Okay. Now also I have c dot say hello. See here, I have say I have I'm sorry, I need to put this into, because that is the method is returning a string value, so in order to print I need to call this. I need to wrap this into, I need to put the output into system.out.println. So now let me rerun this. Now you will actually see the output. It says good morning Srikanth, good evening Murli, and hello Murli. And now the interesting part is, look at this. Say hello. So what is C? Child class, right?
It's object.
Yeah, child class.
Yeah.
Yeah, child class object. Now, do I have say hello method here in the child class?
No, it's in the parent class.
It's in the parent class. So this is the feature of inheritance. By inheritance, what I'm getting is that I am able to get the methods in the parent class directly. I can access the methods in the parent class. Now, if I look at the parent class alone, what I have is I have the method, same method name multiple times with difference. Now when I can access all the methods of the parent, the public methods. Dot println c dot say hello. I say maybe 5, and also I say c dot say hello, and I want to give some space. Now child methods, you see that there are the child related stuff and the parent related stuff is here. So child is able to get all the methods, all the public methods of the parent. So without even defining. So this is actually used for reusability, code reusability. When there is a parent-child relationship between two classes, and if there is a common logic, put the logic into parent class and use it from child class as well. Because you want to use that particular logic, you want to call the logic even for the parent objects. You create parent and you use it. Then otherwise, when your child, when you have child class, then you can use all the methods of the parent in the child. And also sometimes, suppose, maybe what I'll say is, maybe that your child speaks a different language. So maybe let me say good morning and say maybe Japanese or no, French. Let's see what is good morning in French. Oops, 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 oops. Good morning. Okay, it's called bonjour. It's called bonjour. Good morning, good day. They have okay for good evening, bonsoir. So what I'll do is for maybe my child speaks in French. No, sorry. What has the hello, right? And for hello, salute. Okay, let's say that he says instead of hello he says in French. So public string, no, not in the parent, but I do that in the child. Public string, say hello, and say he says return string hello message equal to salute. Hello, Amachi. Now tell me, now I wrote a method here, it's called say hello, and parent also has say hello method, right? Now tell me, when I say child dot say hello for this particular line, what will be the output?
Salute.
Sorry, salute? Can you be a bit louder?
Salute.
Yeah,
Salute.
right. And why? And why is
Because
this
the child
happening?
has the method called
Sorry, child has the
child has a
method
method.
redefined.
You can
The child has the method redefined. This is also called overriding. This is annotation. We will discuss about annotations later, but uh, this is called overriding. So if the same method exists in the parent, in the child also you try to override that particular method. Okay. In that case, your child behavior overrides the parent. Okay, and if I don't define the method, now still there are three other say hello methods that parent has but child is not having. So for those methods, it is the child whatever parent implementation is there that gets into force. But if child overrides it, it can redefine it. Child overrides or redefines, then it is overriding. That also comes under polymorphism only. Now I'll wrap up the polymorphism concept. Polymorphism is about having the same method in multiple forms, and that is possible by having different number of parameters or different type of parameters. Different number of parameters means string name here, and now this method. Now this one, and this one. There are number of parameters are different. But now if I look at this method, these two methods, here parameter types are different. So these two ways I can implement polymorphism. A same method can exist in different forms because of different number of parameters or different type of parameters. Okay, and intentionally I am skipping the return type. Return type does not participate in the polymorphism. Suppose we can pretty much try that. Okay, and suppose if I try to change this, then maybe I return something. And it does not participate. It says duplicate method. You need to try this out as well. You need to know why it doesn't work. I mean, that's because that's how they define the language. It is how that they define the language. So return type does not participate in the this thing. Also, scope. Say hello. Name. So again it says duplicate method. Now what I did, I changed the scope from public to private. Okay, I'll discuss the scope of. Once I'm done with the inheritance, I'll discuss about the scope. Then it will be clear. So for now, the scope is that if I declare a method as private, I can use that method, or the private is variable or private variables or private methods. I can only use them within the public methods. Within the public methods, say suppose if I say, suppose I have some private method called say something hi, and I can use only in some other public methods. I can use say something. See, Eclipse actually shows um, Eclipse actually shows. Okay, I need to give it some string. Okay, if you look at when I try to call this method, look at the way the icon is mentioned before this say something. The private method is shown with a rectangle red, whereas other public methods is a green circle. So there's just an icon to notate, notation to say that, for us to easily understand what is it, kind of. Say something is a method, but it is a private method. And where is it? It is in a parent class. You look at the last side, parent class. Now that becomes interesting thing. Okay. Now let me look at the child class. Now if I try to, can I, maybe, no, not after this, but before this, if I try to look at the methods, now it says say hello. Look at this method. Say hello is from the parent method. Then you need to understand, when you are looking in the Eclipse, taking help from Eclipse, what I did is here, I just did a control space. So this pop-up has come. Now I'm trying to look at the methods. Say hello is from which class? It is from the child class. It says child at the end. It returns string. Method name, return type, and which class has it. Now, if I say hello with string name, comma, string name 1, then this is parent. It is from parent. Also say hello count. You look at this. This is also from parent. Say hello with name is also from parent. This is how you can interpret from Eclipse. Okay. So what I am discussing right now is that parent and child and inheritance. Actually, like I did mix of multiple things. I try to introduce the polymorphism concept, and also I try to introduce you to inheritance concept. Now I'll stop it for today here, but then before we close, sorry, let's do a quick recap. So the first thing I introduced is the package structure. The package structure is to avoid naming conflicts and also to put related classes together. A package is a wrapper and the source code will be stored into the particular folder structure. Within the SRC, look at this, calm, training, hurry classes. And when I look at the class definition, it says package calm dot training dot hurry dot classes. When you write here, you put dot here, and when you look at the source code, that will be physical folders. Okay. Now even the generated output will be in that, like that only. Look at the bin. See here, dot class files. So that's about packaging. We will see more packaging stuff going forward. But then when we look at the classes, a method name, if the same method name exists and it has multiple implementations because of change in number of parameters or because change in parameter type. Parameter type change means, let us look at these two things. Now the first method has only string. Second method has, when if you look at the two methods, they both of them have only number of parameters is 1. But there is a difference in the parameter type. First method, this takes name and this is a string, and second one it takes count. So there is a difference. There is a difference. Also there is another difference, that another way you can create this same method with difference, different implementation is that you change number of parameters. Now it says, now this method has 2 parameters. Now you can extend, put comma and then put another different type, int count again or int id or something else. You can do that. But that the fundamental behind polymorphism is that the method name should be same, parameters, number of parameters should be different, or different type of parameters. If I create one more method with say hello with string name as parameter, it will not work. It will not work because it will become same thing. We saw that error. It says it gives you duplicate error message, duplicate method definition. Now that's about polymorphism. It's called method overloading. Method overloading, meaning in the same class I am overloading with multiple definitions. Method overloading is nothing but having multiple definitions for the same method in the same class. Okay. Now method overriding. When you have inheritance is achieved by using a keyword called extends. Public class child extends parent. Now here when the child class inherits all of the methods, all of the public methods of your parent class. Also there is another thing called protected. I'll discuss that tomorrow. But then for now the public methods of your parent are accessible to you, or you also have when someone creates an object for you as a child. If someone creates a child object, then child has its own methods as well as all the methods of the parent. Now we have seen that into this. We have seen that into, if I look at c dot say hello, this is a method available in the parent. And c dot say hello 5, this is a method available in the parent. But then interestingly, it is possible that you can redefine the method that is defined in the parent. Instead of saying hello, I am saying salute, and this is a French word, right? So when I do that, when I redefine a particular parent method in the child again, that is called method overriding. That is called method overriding. So when you call this method, that is overridden in the child. In your main class, only your child implementation will come into picture. This one, this is the line. So your parent has which is hello, but the child has which is salute. So when I run the application, I get salute, a message called salute. So the reason is that child is able to override parent behavior. So simple three classes. I just have three classes, and actually one of them is for the main method, the main class, but actually one parent and one child class. In real life, the class names will be different in the sense you don't actually say parent and child, but to have just that, I'm discussing about the inheritance as well as polymorphism aspects. So I just mentioned them because primarily for relating with inheritance, I just want to use these words called parent and child. So that's about from me for today. I request you to practice this. I request you to practice this and come back to me with questions.